with an update on a television rights deal and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. After undergoing a procedure, AEW star Sanjay Dutt said this on X. After dealing with a myriad of shoulder issues for the better part of the last 2 decades, I started my journey to get fixed. Last week, I underwent surgery, receiving a reverse total shoulder replacement. Been extremely taxing mentally and physically, but I'm so excited for my future. Bringing up his move from WWE to AEW, Ricochet told the Babyfaces podcast, "Man, Wembley was amazing. It really gave that big feel, that big show feel, the big spike. It really did, and then the locker room makes things different. Both locker rooms are great. I've known people here in All Elite for, man, probably my whole career I've known all these guys. Literally my whole career. Chuck Taylor's and some of those guys since day one I've known, so it was honestly a pretty easy transition. It was pretty smooth for me to transition over. I haven't seen a lot of these guys in 5, 6, 7 years, maybe longer, but honestly, it was kind of like I saw them last weekend. We started right back where we left off. Obviously, the environments are different, so those are different, but really at the end of the day, I've had fun my whole career, and this is just going to reignite that spark, that fire that still was there, but it just needed some gasoline thrown on it to ignite it bigger, and I think AEW is gonna be that gasoline. For that same interview, Ricochet was asked if he considered turning heel in AEW, as he responded, "I think everybody just kind of is an extension of who they feel they are. So I feel like for me, for example, I'm not afraid to tell somebody to shut up and smack them in their mouth. But at the same time, I feel like there's steps that we could take before we get there. So the good guy, bad guy, that's all just within that person. I feel like there aren't really good guys and bad guys. Is Thanos a bad guy? Some people don't think so. Is Killmonger a bad guy? Some people don't think so. So it depends. Everyone's got their story and how they tell it. People can resonate with that. So maybe one of these days my story will be told differently than how I feel now. Maybe I will feel differently later. So who knows? But right now I feel great. I feel good, and it's hard to really get me down. It's always been hard. In my real life, in my wrestling life, it's hard to get me down. It's hard to really get on my bad side. Sure, I will communicate with you, and we will talk about it, and we will fight if we need to, but I don't know. I've always kind of been, if not for the fans, and if not for the people, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So I'm not afraid. Like Will Ospreay or whomever it is, if we got a problem, we can squash it right now, however you need to squash it. So the good guy, bad guy, it's just different. It's all how you are in the moment, and I might feel differently later. TNA wrestling star Steph De Lander is set to make her debut as an actress, writing on Instagram, "I'm very proud to announce I am gracing the cover of Los Angeles Feature September edition. I make my acting debut in Spilled Paint V-Series, set to be released very soon. Check out the full article and make sure to tune in." IMDb describes Sinister Paint like this: a sinister figure in the underground art world forces talented artists to paint fakes and passes them off to influential players to make him rich, then kills them, until a famed artist thought dead resurfaces, inspired by true events. Recalling prior plans for Jey Uso to win a championship, former WWE host Matt Camp noted on the wrestling mat there were plans at the beginning of the year for Jey and Gunther for the IC title. They ended up doing it on Raw, but that was in play as a potential WrestleMania match. That was in play between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, which I know it eventually happened. That was in play. How about this? Jey beating Gunther was in play for the IC title before WrestleMania, with the idea of doing Jimmy Sami and Jey for the IC title at WrestleMania. I know that was talked about. Revealing that she underwent surgery over the summer during her time away from WWE action, Natalya said this on Growing Up Von Erichs. Monday Night Raw, I made my return back to the ring. I took the summer off. I was working on a couple of projects. We were back in Calgary, and that's where my family started. It was so cool to make my re-debut in WWE back in Calgary. My whole family was there. Bret Hart was on Raw. I was able to win my match for my team. It was cool. It's always nice to be back home. I took a little time off this summer, and the company was so great about it. They were like, take as much time as you need. It's really changing so much in the best way, and the culture is so different now. Our boss, Triple H, he is such a cool boss. I just recently got eye surgery to correct astigmatism in my eye, and I needed a little bit more time off to get that done. He's like, go get your eyes fixed. He's like, don't even worry about it. He's like, take care of yourself. And it was like, it's just so cool to have a boss that's human. I was saying this to my husband the other day. Working with Triple H over the last year, it's been such a breath of fresh air because he was also a wrestler. So he knows all about what it's like. You're pitching a storyline, or you're going through a hardship at home, or he has 3 daughters as well. So he knows about handling girls. Girls are different than guys. We're more emotional and we overthink things. He's a really cool boss. I really like working for him and with him. It's just been such a breath of fresh air. Asked if steroids could be correlated with brain cancer following the recent passing of Psycho Sid, Kevin Nash responded jokingly on his Click This podcast. It's medically proven that if you drive around in a pickup truck with a flag in the back, the flapping noise can give you brain cancer. It might make you vote a little weird too, the repetition of it. You might not know how to answer when asked what caused the Civil War, and you might vote strangely. And you might not know how to act at Arlington National Cemetery in front of a fallen soldier, just to clarify. Explaining why Smackdown did not stay on Fox as they are set to move to USA Network on Friday, Billy Body said this on his Dirty Sheets podcast. The reason WWE doesn't stay on Fox is because Fox lost a ton of money by signing WWE in the 5-year deal. The Fox network massively struggled to sell advertising to make their money back based on what they paid to WWE. So it's very interesting to note that while WWE was very high on Fox in their praises and talking about the relationship this week, Fox lost a huge amount of money. They could not get those big advertisers on board. So while WWE was in a great place business-wise and the show price is as high as ever, with those partners getting into bed with them, the actual big companies that pay for premium advertising would not advertise during SmackDown on Fox. And Fox ended up losing a load of money and regretting getting into bed and making that investment on WWE. Staying on the topic of SmackDown moving from Fox to USA, former WWE and current AEW commentator Jim Ross noted on his Grilling JR podcast, it's fragmented so much that it doesn't carry the cachet that it used to, right? Not that it's a bad thing, and I'm not downgrading their status, but the issue is that USA, since the days of the first hour-long Monday Night Raws and testing every week, etc., has changed. So I think USA has as much right to say that they're the wrestling station as anybody else that WWE deals with. It'll be fun to see how that evolves. And of course, we've got the ever popular minute-by-minute ratings that tell you pretty much everything you need to know. Sometimes they're fair, sometimes they're not. But it'll be a little bit of a challenge, I think, to get that audience to find you on the same night, same time, but on a different network. And going to USA, to me, it's not a downgrade at all. I think as long as TV ratings are competitive and look good, good on paper, good to the eye, it'll be fine. They do a good job of their weekly television. You know, I thought SmackDown before the change was really good. I really do. So I don't know. Time will tell. It's one of those situations where it's not a good answer, but time will tell if they hit and if the ratings stay consistent or if they add to the audience from their established USA network. Now USA's got NXT, they've got Raw, and they'll have SmackDown. Plenty of reasons for a wrestling fan to invest their time and TV time in the show, so it should be good. I'm pulling for them because a high tide lifts all boats, as we said before. I think these guys will take advantage of this opportunity and look at it as an opportunity to take care of their business. Talking about rumors of having issues with John Cena, Batista would also say this about Cena's upcoming retirement tour, as well as his own retirement from WWE, telling Chris Van Vliet, "I get along with John. I respect John a lot more than people think I do for some reason. I think the internet and fans have built this rivalry between us, which there really isn't. But this is how we're different. I would never do this. I couldn't. I wouldn't feel it would feel disingenuous to me to go around, but where I see his point, where he wants to go around and he wants to personally thank all the fans, but there's just something in me where I couldn't do it. I would feel uncomfortable to me. Like, accolades feel uncomfortable to me. Like, I could never be the type of babyface who was saying good stuff because I wanted to get the crowd to cheer for me. I love and respect what he's doing with his whole tour to say, you know, thank you to the fans, but we're just different that way. Like, I couldn't do it. I went out the way I wanted. I retired the way I wanted. I don't want to make a big deal out of it. I announced my retirement on Instagram, you know, and I knew I was going to do it. I just didn't want to tell anybody I was going to do it because I didn't want anybody to say, no, you got to come in. You have to give a speech, you know, to the fans, and I don't know, just something about it would have felt false to me, and I couldn't do it. Also, Batista was asked about current WWE stars that have acting potential, as he told BuzzFeed Celeb, "Oh, you know who I think was really overlooked as an actor? I don't know if he hasn't pursued it as much as he'd like to because he's still heavily pursuing professional wrestling, but is CM Punk Phil Brooks. His potential in acting is pretty unlimited, so I really want to see more from him in acting, and I'd really love to work with him because I think he has a passion for acting, but I think still his heart is in professional wrestling. Until he's able to let that go a little bit, he'll never be able to fully envelop himself in acting, but I think Phil Brooks he's a great actor." Adam Copeland addressed his wife and former WWE star Beth Phoenix joining him in AEW with Dean Moses of AMNY Writing. When asked if fans could see him team with his wife, known in WWE as Beth Phoenix, in AEW, Copeland said that while he would love that, he would also like to team with her in another endeavor. Copeland revealed that he is mulling over starting a wrestling school with his wife in the future. "One thing we talked about is maybe starting a type of finishing school where if there are people within the industry that feel like they're just missing a little something, we'll come on down to Asheville because you got FTR, you got me, and you got Beth Phoenix," Copeland said. "We're debating that and then just seeing if that's a time commitment that we even have at this stage." Mentioning what took place during the interaction between Bret Hart and Triple H backstage on Raw, Dave Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer Radio, "Triple H was very nice to Bret from what I heard. A couple people brought that up to me. Historically, they don't like each other, both of them, but it's business and Triple H is running things and they don't want to insult Bret, so they have to show respect to Bret. So everybody was nice to everybody." Speaking about plans for Charlotte Flair, who has been absent from WWE programming due to injury, Ringside News wrote that Charlotte Flair has been out of action since the December 8th, 2023 episode of Smackdown. She sustained a serious injury during a singles match against Damage Control's Asuka, tearing her ACL, MCL, and meniscus. Since then, Flair has been focused on her recovery, working diligently to get back in the ring. On his Dirty Sheets podcast via Patreon, Bill Body shared that WWE has plans ready for Flair Flair's return. Notably, Nia Jax is currently holding the WWE Women's Championship and wearing a crown, which plays directly into WWE's upcoming storyline for Charlotte. WWE reportedly plans to have Charlotte Flair target Nia Jax when she returns, centering their feud on the Queen moniker that Jax has adopted. This rivalry would fit seamlessly with Charlotte's long-standing persona as the Queen throughout her in-ring career. It's also been reported that WWE has already penciled in WrestleMania 41 plans for Flair, which would involve a match against current Miss Money in the Bank Tiffany Stratton. Given Stratton's admiration for Flair and her rise in WWE, this potential match could be a dream clash for fans if everything goes according to plan. In some unfortunate news, a New Japan legend passed away the other day, with the company writing, "New Japan Pro Wrestling is deeply saddened to learn of the passing of Kuniaki Kobayashi after a battle with illness. He was 68. Entering the professional wrestling world as a teen, Kobayashi would join the NJPW dojo in 1972. He went on to make his official debut in January of 1973. Kobayashi would go on multiple international excursions through the 1970s, including to Mexico and for NWA Los Angeles in the States. After returning from the United States in 1982, he would begin using his red martial arts gear that would become a signature, and with Tiger Mask on the rise in Japan, would set his sights on the dynamic fan favorite. Kobayashi would appoint himself NJPW's Tiger Hunter and engaged in memorable battles on primetime TV broadcasts. Along with his Shingun faction mates, Kobayashi would head to Japan Pro Wrestling and AJPW, where he battled the second Tiger Mask, Mitsuharu Misawa, and defeated Hiro Saito to become the second ever World Junior Heavyweight Champion. With time in the WWF as Shin Kobayashi under his belt as well, Kobayashi returned to NJPW in 1987. By now, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship had been established, and with a win over Nobuhiko Takada and Ryogoku Sumo Hall, Kobayashi became the fourth ever holder of the prestigious title. In 1989, the spirit of Kobayashi's vendetta against Tiger Mask would be reinvigorated when he became the first opponent of Jushin Liger in his Tokyo Dome debut. A centerpiece of the revived Heisei Shingun, Kobayashi was a key figure through the 1990s, while circling back round to Liger on several occasions. The two wrestled in 4 singles matches over the years, with the last being at Kobayashi's official retirement in 2000. Post-retirement, Kobayashi would make occasional special appearances, most recently in the Wrestle Kingdom 11 kickoff Rambo in 2017. He was still extremely active within the management of the New Japan Pro Wrestling dojo all the way to his passing, paving the way for new generations of wrestlers. The thoughts and utmost sympathies of all at New Japan Pro Wrestling are with Kobayashi's family, friends, and fans. When it comes to The Rock and Roman Reigns potentially being a part of Raw on Netflix, Billy Body said this on his Dirty Sheets podcast. There are internal discussions in WWE about how they're going to get The Rock and Roman Reigns on Netflix. There's a strong belief that the reason John Cena has been brought back and put on a 1-year deal, which The Rock was heavily instrumental in, is because WWE wants to combat the situation they're in. That situation involves The Rock showing up on the USA Network for his program with Cody Rhodes. While The Rock was instrumental in securing the Netflix deal and guaranteed that he and Reigns would be appearing on Netflix, at the moment, those two aren't set to be on Netflix. I'm sure Rock and Roman will be on the first episode of Raw on Netflix, but we know Roman Reigns is on the Smackdown brand, with the Bloodline storyline on Smackdown, and Cody Rhodes will be there. That looks like the initial destination for The Rock, unless they can find a way to work around this, and there are internal discussions about that. Touching on plans for Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41, Billy Body said on that same podcast, "At the moment, Cody Rhodes and The Rock is still the plan for WrestleMania. Now, people may be a little bit lukewarm on the Cody Rhodes title run, I know I am, but plans don't change based on opinions on podcasts and social media. They change based on if metrics are not high enough. Ratings are fine." Giving an update on the TV rights deal AEW is working on with Warner Bros. Discovery, Andrew Zarian noted on Beyond the Bell, the AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery network exclusivity is over. There is no longer exclusivity for one network. From Warner Bros. Discovery side, the deal is finished. There's no question that the deal is completed, I would say signed. I feel 99.9% confident that AEW content will be on Max. Pay-per-views will go on Max. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.